Alf Ramsey was waiting for us beyond the edge of the grass, as full of joy as anyone would ever see him. He and Bobby Moore embraced. I was too dazed and weary to muster more than a knackered half handshake. At 24 years old, it was the start of a lifetime of being hailed for the events of a single afternoon. The words there of Geoff Hurst, who would score the first ever hat-trick in a World Cup final. This is, of course, the next episode of the Football History Boys podcast, where we are looking at the 1966 World Cup, the latest in our World Cup rewind. It's been quite the journey so far from 1930, but we are probably, I feel a bit of pressure with this one.
Yeah.
Because the listeners of this podcast, there's definitely going to be quite a few listeners who would have watched 66, felt the impact of that tournament.
Yeah.
This is, of course, the only World Cup ever held in the United Kingdom to this day. This is, of course, England 66. Go on, start us off.
Well, this is one that obviously, there are people in certainly living memory, podcast listening, living memory,
Yeah.
who will be able to tell us exactly how they experienced those emotions, exactly what it felt like. Now, we are Welsh, we know that, we've declared that many a time, but we fully accept how big a moment this was in British sporting history.
In British history, I think.
British history, yeah, full stop. The feeling of unity across the United Kingdom, which we'll come on to, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the moment. This is the moment that finally England, 8th time of asking, although they didn't enter the first few, but in the 8th edition of the World Cup,
Yeah.
they win it. And they probably feel like they should have won many before that. So it's a really, really important one for that one. But there's also some really great storylines outside of England winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to too. There's a lot of memorable stuff for this one.
This is a beefy one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about here.
It's going to be an hour. We're going to run into an hour here.
Definitely. Right. This is taking place, though, in one of history's most influential decades. The 1960s, some argue, is, one of the most influential 10 years of all time. This is a decade of things like civil rights, the swinging 60s, the music, Beatlemania, all this kind of stuff going on in this decade. So much change happening around the world. We got social revolutions, of course, a bit later on. Things like Woodstock, just things like loads of famous events. Man on the Moon. This is a really pivotal decade in the 20th century, which we still are seeing the effects of today. Britain had spent before this, almost 2 decades of soul searching following the Second World War. Despite being on the winning side, this was a country, really on its knees after it, still rationing for 9 years, heavily reliant on American money to rebuild and reconstruct. But now it's finding itself a new identity in the 1960s. Gone is this old, antiquated image of bowler hats, posh toffs. Now it is the swinging 60s. Britain is at the centre of world popular culture. We mentioned the Beatles before, but we got fashion as well, and football too.
Yeah.
Go on, football.
Well, the football's obviously expanded massively throughout Europe in this period of time. We've now got an established European Cup, a European Cup that's been running, and English teams have not been all that successful in so far. They're starting to compete. They're starting to get there. This period of time is really, really significant because England win the World Cup in 66. There's no hiding that. There's no spoilers to that.
I'm giving it all away now. Might as well end the podcast now.
67, Celtic become the first British team to win the European Cup.
Yeah.
68, Manchester United complete a 10-year comeback from what we referenced previously.
58,
the Munich air disaster, and they win. And it's this rebuilt side, and they win the European Cup, and it's the first time an English side wins it. And it's almost like this period of English football finally announcing itself to a world stage, or certainly a European stage. And hosting the World Cup, as we talked about with all of the nations, is a really, really big moment for any nation. England have got that football infrastructure there that we're well aware of.
Yeah.
They host it here. They do a good job hosting it, as we'll talk about. And then they go and win it on home soil. And it is a really, really foundational, significant moment for probably lots of our listeners. Anyone sort of born, I guess, 1960 and before, or onwards, that we can really you can hark back to that and you remember where you were. It's one of those moments. You remember where you were. I know my dad does. And it's just such an important moment, really, that I think, it's important to get stuck into and think about why football today looks like it does, probably link back to that 3-year span in English British football history.
Brilliant. Right, let's get on to the tournament then. So qualification, one of our favourite parts of these podcasts. It always seems to be a bit mad. Nothing seems to go to plan. It's always a little bit off script. But this World Cup is another 16-team tournament. We've got a nice consistent number now of teams.
They're settled, don't they, FIFA?
We're not like 13 like in 1930 or 1950 or 15 like in the one after. We have 16 teams and an impressive 74 nations enter this one, which is significantly more than any before. Yeah. England and Brazil, of course, are the automatic qualifiers. England is the hosts, which is nice for them. Brazil, because they were the winners of 62 and 58. So they're going for a hat-trick of wins going into this tournament, which would have been insane, wouldn't it? We can't even imagine that today. There is a bit of an uneven split for the teams again. We've got 10 UEFA, 4 from South America, 1 from North America, and 1 from Asia, and none from Africa. Why was that?
Well, there'd been a boycott. Anyone who maybe likes your cricket history particularly is a significant decade for South Africa and cricket. It's because there's apartheid, isn't there, in South Africa at this time. Particular racial tensions, and sport comes to play a really, really big part on that. Not only have you got football and South Africa not being part of it, as a boycott, you equally have cricket in South Africa being, a tour happening that is a huge controversy, and that's probably something we could look at in a sort of more sporting wide podcast. It's one of those controversies.
The Sports History Boys.
Which we
new show
about.
Good actually.
Yeah. But yeah, teams were expected to play against a playoff against an Asian group, and they refused. There was the South Africa tensions, and so ultimately African sides decided they were going to boycott. They weren't taking part. We're not being fairly represented. And equally, there's this racial tension happening, and so they were sort of out of the picture. They weren't interested.
Yes, so South Africa had been readmitted to FIFA. They had been banned, and FIFA allowed them back in 1963.
Much like they're going to do with Russia, by the sound of it.
But yeah, look at all these historical parallels. This is brilliant. As a result of that, and probably understandably, the African nations aren't too impressed by this. There's still lots of racial segregation, high tensions going on in the country at this point in South Africa. South Africa were going to be played in the Asian qualifying away from them, but even that, not acceptable. But also not just that, Africa as a continent, this is post-World War II, post-colonial period, really. You've got nations in Africa becoming independent for the first time. Yeah. And they want a chance to show themselves off to the world. The World Cup, as you mentioned before, can be a really powerful nation-building tool. And football is such a thing that, brings countries together. And African countries see this as a chance, but there is no place for an African country like assured place in the World Cup. Yeah. So saying, you know what, this isn't representing us. We haven't necessarily got a chance to be there. Why should we do it? So they say, we're not taking part. We're boycotting it. So 15 African nations decide they're not going to take part. I've got a quote here from Fikro Kidane. So he's an Ethiopian football delegate from the time he was in a lot of these FIFA meetings. He said, boycotting was a matter of prestige. Most of the continent was fighting for its own independence, and the African Federation had to defend the interest and dignity of Africa. So you probably understand why they did it.
Totally.
We see African countries now, they're a mainstay in the World Cup. We've got, I think, maybe 9 or 10 in the next World Cup. So it's been fantastic. And they bring so much energy. They bring fantastic football. It's so good for them to be there. But you can see why they're so frustrated if they weren't given the opportunities to grow. Yeah. We said about FIFA giving the World Cup to Chile in the last one. That was so Chile, as an impoverished, smaller nation, had a chance to build as a country, but they weren't allowing it for Africa, which, must have had some sort of racial undertones.
Yeah, and, we said that there was a real focus on UEFA. There still is, of course there is, and it's because football is so developed in European nations, and obviously you want as many European sides there as possible. There was a focus on South American sides, a smaller focus, but a focus, and that is still present today. But you will still notice it in many of those nations, the difficulties for qualifying. And it is the argument for the expanded 4018 World Cup now, not to fast forward too much to 2026, as we will do eventually when we get there on this long journey.
This is a long journey.
Long journey. But that is an argument for it. And lots of people will say those groups are weakened or those teams shouldn't be there. But to an extent, it is great having wider representation from across the footballing world at a World Cup, nations making debuts as we get here. It is an exciting part of World Cup football, finding out about a new nation, watching them for the first time, learning their players for the first time is definitely a core memory for anyone who's watched the World Cup to get hooked on that nation, some of their players.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Getting a big transfer, off the back of it. It happened,
Joel Campbell.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, Syria withdrew in support of the African nation. So from 74 entrants, we're down, I think, into the 50s already, because 15 have withdrawn from Africa and 1 in Syria has withdrawn from Asia. Now, this is the most crazy group of all. So this is what one of the groups was going to be in the qualification. North Korea, South Korea, Australia, South Africa.
That's madness.
So not 4 neighbours. And I did work out that if they were to play each other away, play each other twice and play each other away, that would be a crazy 12,000 miles of travel back in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Which would not have been feasible for those countries. So what was decided by FIFA is the 4 teams would play in a mini league against each other twice, round robin, in Japan.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, fine, not too bad. We probably will get there. South Africa thinking, just give us a chance to go. But then it gets changed to Cambodia. And as a result of that, South Korea say, we can't make the journey. So they leave.
Yeah.
South Africa are being banned again by FIFA by this point. So they've listened to the African countries. South Africa are out. So the Asian group in the end is just North Korea against Australia, which North Korea win 9-2 on aggregate. So they absolutely tank them.
And this is believable, isn't it?
This is big for them. This is a massive propaganda tool that they use. Because North Korea is a young nation at this point. They're only 13 years old. The Korean War's finished in 1953. They're trying to assert themselves in some way. They've got one over their neighbours to the south. And I think this is a chance to show us ourselves off and show the world that North Korea are more than just those mysterious people behind, behind a curtain or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're qualified. North America, Mexico are their entrants. There's not too much to say about them. I think they're just dead in.
Yep.
And then we've got South America. Who qualified from South America?
We've got Uruguay, we've got Argentina, and we've got obviously Brazil already there as defending champs. And then we've got Chile, and they beat Ecuador in the playoffs. And so again, it's familiar names now. We're starting to recognise these names a fair amount. Uruguay, Argentina mainstays really, aren't they? Chile.
Big for Chile, though, after hosting the last one.
Yeah, it's good to follow it up, isn't it? Of course it is, yeah. And so they make it. And then we're on to UEFA. And again, lots of familiar faces. Very sadly, no Wales again.
Now, I did say Syria were in the Asian qualifier earlier, but they weren't. They were actually originally meant to be in the UEFA qualification.
Yeah, crazy.
But they have withdrawn, which leads to a bit of a lopsided group in one of them. So we have West Germany, France, Portugal, Switzerland, Hungary, there they are again, the Soviet Union, Italy, and Spain qualify. Spain win a playoff against Republic of Ireland because they finished level on points, but not using goal difference. So, or goal average, are just saying 2 games, 1 win each, let's go for another one. And Bulgaria knock out Belgium in the same kind of way. So we've got some of the familiar sides entry again. Portugal, though, is actually a bit of a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, and Portugal's interesting. I'm wearing a Benfica kit today from
Very nice.
the Benfica store. The reason being, one of their key men that we're going to come on to was a bloke called Eusebio, who I'm sure lots of people have heard of.
I think he's going to have quite a big tournament in the Super Cup, isn't he?
Yeah, but very, very interesting. And obviously, he is not Portuguese born. He is born in the colony of Mozambique and brought into the Portuguese side. And so they're an interesting one now that we'd absolutely consider them. They're always there. Portugal there, Cristiano Ronaldo, etc. For them, this was a significant moment to make it.
Mozambique and Angola at this point aren't independent, are they? So they are. You can play for Portugal by this point. So you think if it happened now, you might, well, you would have played for Mozambique, wouldn't you? You imagine. But yeah, he's there. Right, Wales then, should we look at what happened to them? We said about Wales watching last time.
Yes, yeah. Let's go Wales watching.
Okay, so Wales finished second in their group to the Soviet Union. Frustratingly, they won all their home games and lost all their away games. So they beat the Soviet Union at Ninian Park, but then they went and bottled it on all the away matches, lost them all. Ivor Allchurch scores quite a few goals, and then he scores 3 in the qualification, but it's not enough. I mean, the Soviet Union are a fantastic side back then.
Yeah, it's classic Wales, isn't it? Classic Wales.
It is. Right, Scotland also. So you would have hoped for all these countries to be able to compete in the English World Cup. I mean, that would have been surely the dream, the aim of the home nations before this tournament. Scotland, though, also came second. They narrowly missed out behind Italy. Left to rue a 2-1 home defeat to Poland. I think if they won that, they may have qualified. And they got a really good side. You mentioned earlier on the Lisbon Lions. So they're going to win the European Cup the following season. They're going to win, I think, maybe 4 trophies, actually, a quadruple. They've got a ridiculous side. And Scotland's team is stacked. It's got loads of players. It's got a lot of the Lisbon Lions. It's also got Jim Baxter from Rangers, John Gregg, Billy Bremner. Good players who we recognise instantly those names, but they don't make it, and that must have been frustrating for them.
It is a shame, isn't it? Because you think, what an opportunity at the home World Cup. Nowadays, I suppose probably a bid for that World Cup is almost likely going to be shared between those nations. You'd say Scotland would be there. But yeah, it is a shame. And it's the same for Northern Ireland as well. It's one of their best sides of all time, isn't it? With George Best, Pat Jennings, and yet they don't get across the line themselves.
They must be kicking themselves because they finished second to Switzerland. And you think with a team with George Best in it and Pat Jennings, they maybe should have been winning that,
Yeah.
I think of any of the British nations other than England, they probably should have been the ones who were there. Especially, let's say, George Best was arguably the best player in the world at the time, wasn't he? Who was the top scorer altogether?
That man, Eusebio.
7 goals.
7 goals. And so he heads to the World Cup on the back of, some good form there, certainly. And I think he's a name that I know a lot of people, again, talking to people of that age and that generation who watched it, remember him distinctly of that World Cup. He's a bit of a star of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, other than Africa, quite a straightforward qualification, but Africa is going to be definitely discussed again when we come on to controversy aspect of this World Cup. Right, let's go on to the hosts then. So we've already mentioned it was England. Matches hosted across 8 venues. And the good thing about this is we know these venues. We recognise it. We might have even been some of these ourselves. So the 2 largest were Wembley, of course, iconic ground. A lot of people maybe say it is the most iconic ground in world football.
It's up there.
This is the old Wembley, though, of course, with the 2 white towers outside. 100,000 seat stadium, had a brand new roof built for it. I think maybe 63. It hosted the European Cup final in 63, so it's got a bit of pedigree around Europe. And also the White City Stadium in London was also used. 76,000 seater. Do you know why that's an important stadium in history?
No, it doesn't exist anymore. But
this was the Olympic Stadium. So it doesn't exist anymore. It's by quite near Loftus Road, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have to go and visit that and do a hidden football history in London again, like we did before. Check it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're watching. Okay. So that stadium's not there anymore. What other stadiums were used?
Old Trafford, familiar. United, obviously. Goodison Park, Everton, Villa Park, Hillsborough, and then we've got Roker Park, which is an old name, old stadium for Sunderland, isn't it? And Ayresome Park as well, which is another Middlesbrough stadium of Middlesbrough before they moved to Riverside in 2000 or something like that, isn't it? Yeah, so, iconic stadiums, ones that we now recognise, ones that would, again, still host it. I don't think Old Trafford would get the nod anymore for hosting things. They don't seem to.
What if it was to be hosted now, which 8 stadiums in England do you think they would host it in? Not questioning you. I know they're doing one soon.
I was going to say,
but let's say, aside from their sort of hitting the criteria mark, but what stage should it be?
Should they use?
Yeah.
Obviously, Wembley. I put Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in there for the beauty, and there's your 2 London, and then are we just saying England? Just to England.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you go 1 per city, I probably would go Etihad over Old Trafford.
These days, definitely. Yeah.
I'd go Villa Park for Birmingham. As
Yeah,
though
iconic.
was.
What do you mean Liverpool? Because you got the new Liverpool. You got Liverpool.
Well, that's right. That's
60,000
what I'm talking. That I'm thinking about because the Hill Dickinson, as it's called,
is
is
an impressive
beautiful.
new one.
Beautiful.
That
Really
that
nice.
looks like a modern World Cup stadium, doesn't it?
And it works for it does look like a World Cup stadium, you're right? And it works for those games that aren't going to be as well attended. Although it's a pretty big stadium anyway, but it works for those
Yeah.
on the slightly small side. You probably go to St James's Park there again.
Yeah, at the top. Yeah,
And it's the southern stadiums they always struggle with, I suppose, isn't it?
it's not as big, is it, down there? Football.
You're probably leaning towards
Fratton Park.
well, for St Mary's, I guess. But
I don't
no, I don't know. I'm not a big fan.
know.
Ashton Gate may get a shout, but it's not very big.
Not enough, is it?
Yeah, so you can see why they limit on stadiums, and obviously some of them crop up again. But some iconic names there in not just English football, but world football.
Absolutely. This is also a notable World Cup because it's the first one ever with a mascot. World Cup Willie, who was a lion with the Union Jack on.
Yeah.
That was the first ever World Cup mascot.
Wow. Actually, that's a big part of a World Cup.
It is.
Yeah.
We all love a mascot. So
Yeah.
in the future podcasts on this show, we will be looking at all those
World Cup
mascots.
backer, yeah.
But maybe we'll start rating them.
Yeah.
See who we think is which is the best one. So we have this is also the first World Cup ever in an English-speaking country. It was 32 matches in total with 89 goals scored throughout. Spoiler alert. 2.78 per game. So not bad. Better than you'd get in modern day, but not amazing. When put that into context, 1954 had 26 games, so 6 less than this one, and 140 goals.
Yeah, but this feels a bit more sensible if we're honest.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. We'll look at why the numbers go down significantly in goals. Interestingly, this was take place in the 11th of July to the 30th of July. Now, World Cups usually happen in June. July in the UK is probably the hottest month that we have. So you probably think maybe not the best of times, but there was a reason why. Why was it moved to this later date?
Well, Britain does grand tradition well, doesn't it? And there's no greater grand tradition than Wimbledon.
Yeah, pomp and ceremony.
So obviously Wimbledon, we're not touching that. That's in the calendar.
Yeah.
And equally the Open, which is another classic, British Institute, another World Sporting Institute of the golf. And so the Open's there too. And so we're not doing that. So you'll have to work around us, guys. You're not doing it when you want. We're putting it around our British institutions, please.
Yeah, so the BBC say we want Wimbledon and the Open to be on first, and then we'll show the World Cup. So you have to wait until those things are over. I think it's maybe fair enough. You don't want it to be clashing, do you, in the same place? That would have been a bit of a mess. Group format, goal average being used to determine who's coming first and second and so on. Extra time then used in the knockouts. And interestingly, if a game is drawn, it would go to a replay. So we know the final will go to extra time. It would have gone to a replay if it had been level.
Yeah.
That's mad.
How? Yeah.
You can't imagine that, can you?
It's also mad it didn't happen before.
It happened in the early World Cups, didn't it? In some of the group games. The early knockouts, but didn't.
Not in the final.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine that'd be such an anti-climax.
It happened in some European Cups. Certainly in UEFA Cups, I'm sure there was some replays.
Yeah, maybe. FA Cup happened all the time, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, we have a total attendance. This is a massive jump now. The last World Cup's been around the 800,000 mark. Now we've got 1.56 million attendees. 48,000 average are really impressive, by far the most. Costs about 45 million to host a tournament. And this is the first World Cup, you'd say, with extensive TV coverage.
Easy to watch highlights of this, really accessible highlights.
Before we did the podcast, I watched every single goal at this World Cup.
Nice.
Yeah, you can watch them all. Some good ones, some okay ones, some fairly surprising ones as well. BBC and ITV with it as well. I think the first game, England against Uruguay, when reading the newspaper articles, apparently they kind of state 400 million people around the world were watching it.
It's big numbers.
Which is amazing for 1966.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate they are, but that's pretty big. When we watched some videos the other day about people being interviewed about the Super Bowl, saying, is it bigger than the World Cup? And you think, well, the World Cup was getting more for a group match back in 1966 than Super Bowl gets today. Yeah. So it is a massive tournament. Football is just enormous, isn't it? England then, very strong team. They were the favourites with the bookies before the tournament. 9-2 to win it, just ahead of Brazil. They got Slazenger football, that iconic orange design, which we see in the because there's colour footage of this World Cup as well.
Yeah,
for the first time, and there's a Welsh ref. Who is it?
Leo Callaghan.
Leo Callaghan. Yeah,
Well,
Well,
there's the history of Welsh representation of the World Cup, mate.
Welsh refs is a fantastic little
It's a thread to follow.
thread we
It's a
got, yeah.
book to follow.
Yeah, it's really good. And probably the most notable story of all, before the World Cup even began, what is it?
Now, when you're building up a tournament, when you do the Olympics, like the torch relay, things like that, you may well want to display something like World Cup. Stick the World Cup trophy on display.
Mhm.
It's on display. Where was it? It wasn't somewhere. It was.
So it's in London. I think it's around sort of the House of Parliament area. I think it was a stamp exhibition.
Yeah, that was it. Something random, wasn't it? Probably random. World Cup trophies there, very nice. We've been to museums. We've seen, the National Football Museum. You see all those iconic bits of football.
Mhm.
You may well have held the FA Cup. There's a picture of me holding the FA Cup when I was younger. I was in Cardiff.
We'll put it on
all
the
those
show.
Yeah, all those bits and pieces. Yeah, really struggling to hold it up. It's so heavy. You could go and do that. It goes missing. It's nicked. It's nicked by some naughty English thieves. You can imagine it in the sort of the style of a film. And
East End gangsters.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in classic English style, oh no, the World Cup's gone missing. It's found by a dog. It is found by a dog. Pickles the dog. There are some iconic dogs in British history, the Blue Peter dogs, things like that. All those sort of things.
Yeah.
Pickles the dog is one iconic dog. It goes missing. So there's a ransom note goes into the police and all sorts of bits and pieces. Whole drama. You can imagine now if it happened all on the news. The World Cup trophy's gone missing. It's been nicked in a.
That'd be crazy.
That would be nuts. Couple of days they start to melt and make a new one, don't they? Like a replacement trophy out of panic. Oh yeah. No, we need another trophy.
Which we've seen. We've seen that.
Yes.
We went to like a launch event thing for it, didn't we? It was years ago.
Yeah. And so they make this spare, this safety one. But Pickles the dog's out on his morning walk. I can't even remember the fella's called now, the owner.
Dave something?
Dave, I think it is Dave. Dave's out with Pickles. Pickles goes ruffling under a bush. He finds something wrapped in newspaper. Dave opens it. Oh my goodness me. It is the World Cup trophy, which is nuts to think about.
Maybe it was Dave all along.
Yeah. And Pickles finds like ridiculous fame on the back of this as well. I think he's like appearing on TV. There's a really funny meme of a Azerbaijani TV channel interviewing a dog once, like run on a pitch. I think they stuck it. It was almost like that level of fame.
Yeah.
Sticking a microphone in front of his face. Pickles is given like lifetime supply of sausages, all that classic British stuff. Quality story though, and thank goodness they found the trophy. That would have been a little bit embarrassing for England had they.
That would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah, shocking. I mean, I think it's very English, isn't it?
It's just a classic, caper, a comedy.
You haven't got largest earthquakes in the world or fascist dictators. You've got someone nicking the World Cup and a dog finding it.
Yeah.
It is a classic story. Right. So that is half an hour into of this podcast, and we've not even started on the group stage. So let's get started with it. So the group stage, you would probably define it as being quite tactical. Football's taking quite a big shift at this point. We've got things like Catenaccio going on in Italy. As a result of this, there are fewer goals and quite negative play at times. England's opener, so this game which has been built up for months and months and months, some of the headlines saying about football fever and people getting sick and tired of hearing football all the time. But it's a 0-0 draw. England draw with two-time winners Uruguay 0-0. A much weaker Uruguay than they were before. England are expected to kind of steamroll them in front of, almost a full house at Wembley.
Yeah.
That must be such an anticlimax.
Yeah. Again, it feels like classic England today, doesn't it? The build up and then the disappointment early on. It fits the pattern really in that way.
I've got some quotes here from newspapers. Want to hear them? From the London Evening News first. So fans obviously disappointed in the match. They're not going to blame England though. They're going to blame the opponents. So it's not fair that you've turned up and you've got a draw. That's not all fair when you turn up at our World Cup.
Yeah.
So this is from someone called C.H. Frank from Worcester. No, from Essex. And he says, having wasted my time watching the England versus Uruguay World Cup match, where Uruguay went on to the field with the obvious intention of not trying to win, I suggest that the referee in a case like this should have the option of either 1, declaring the match no contest and to be replayed later, or 2, awarding the points to the side which is trying to win. In either case, spectators should be given their money back. I think in no other profession, but one is paid for not trying.
Yeah.
So he's pretty livid. And the newspapers and the other papers, so the to editorials, they're all worried by this first game, and 0-0 is not the start you want for a World Cup. And they're saying that the footballing fiesta is already in danger of being a flop.
Yeah.
Pretty quick to
Again,
judge.
classic, isn't it? How often are we
That's the
hear
Daily
these sort
Mirror.
of things?
How do England get on, though, in the group?
They bounce back, though, don't they? They bounce back. Mexico dispatched 2-0. France dispatched 2-0. Roger Hunt finds his scoring boots, 3 goals in the group stages. But it's interesting and significant, really, that Jeff Hurst, who we will hear about in a minute, is not really favoured at the start. He didn't appear in the World Cup initially because Jimmy Greaves, who was an iconic player, who's talked about as one of the English greats, understandably, is the main man and he's starting up front for England.
He is. No substitutions, of course, in the World Cup.
Yeah.
So you can't just bring Hurst on or anything.
Give him some minutes.
It is Roger Hunt. And Roger Hunt does score 3 goals, so he is England's go-to man at this point as they beat Mexico and France 2-0. It's quite a feisty World Cup again. So it's following on from 1962, which is, some say is the most dirty, controversial tournament in terms of the on-the-field action. But this one kind of continues that pattern, and it is quite a feisty tournament, shown no more clearly than in Brazil's group. So Brazil are drawn with Portugal, as we mentioned already before, Hungary, our old favourites, and Bulgaria. So a triple European threat there, all coming in against Brazil. Pele gets off to a really good start because he's obviously the main man still, isn't he? So 58, he's won it, playing so well as a kid. 62, he's been injured and missed most of the tournaments, to be honest. Grinch just taking over. But this one, he's back in. Massive sort of publicity around him, bringing the big attendances. He gets off to a good start. He scores a free kick against Bulgaria. It's a really good goal. In the game with Grinch, he also scores a fantastic free kick. But he gets injured in it. And Bulgaria are persistently fouling him because he's so good, which means he misses the next game. What happens in the next game?
And this is one where they lose. And again, it's a Hungary side that's not full of any of the names, of course, now that we would know and love. But they do lose to Hungary. And that's a really, really significant loss.
3-1 as well. So
battered,
decent.
Really. And it sets them into a massive decider against Portugal in that final group game. Portugal, who we said, new kids on the block. Eusebio's been finding his scoring boots. He's got one. Torres has netted twice. They won 3-1 against Hungary, 3-0 against Bulgaria. That final group game is effectively winner takes all for advancement into the next round. And Portugal destroyed Brazil 3-1.
Again, and we posted footage of Pele's match here on our Instagram, and he is battered and bruised. They are kicking lumps out of him. And in the end, the second half, because there's no subs, he plays on the entire second half limping. And he's right-footed, I think, Pele, but he doesn't use his right foot at all. He uses his left foot the entire game. So he keeps getting the ball despite the fact he's limping really obviously. But he's still playing like inch-perfect passes down the line, great balls over the top. He's influencing the game massively despite the fact he can barely walk. That's how good he is. But they do lose. They do lose 3-1, and they're out in the group stage. I mean, don't hear Brazil going out in the group stage very often.
No,
I don't think it happened after this ever again.
And actually, when you look at the Pele we've described so far, 58, brilliant, rocks up in the knockout rounds. As a youngster. 62, kicked out of the tournament. Injury-wise, not through any controversy. And then he's dumped out of the tournament here as Brazil, as the nation. Really, actually, it's like a reimagining of Pele's World Cup experience, isn't it, for some people? Because you think connect Pele to be the World Cup guy. I just think you'll hear a bit more about him next time out.
I think 1970 is what
saves him.
Gives his legs.
But right now, as we look at 66, you go, well, Pele's disappointed, actually. And Eusebio is the man there who scores twice in that game to knock Brazil out. Suddenly, there's like this new kid on this block, this new exciting man who, has been brilliant with Benfica and
European Cup winning,
was known on the European stage. And again, it's that thing of World Cup tournaments where a player that you know is good steps up and does it on the world stage. It can really send them into a different echelon of superstardom.
It can. So these fouls, Pele leaving the tournament early, is what leads to massive FIFA reforms after this. And when we look at 1970 World Cup, this starts in a completely different light. But we'll go into that in the next episode. Right, West Germany and Argentina go through in their group. And I'd say Group 4, though, is the most interesting. This sees the USSR, North Korea, Italy, and Chile, including a rematch of the Battle of Santiago from the last tournament.
Yeah.
So 4 years later, I love these when it happens to World Cup. So 4 years later, after kicking lumps literally out of each other, breaking noses, 2 red cards, flying kick to the head, Italy and Chile meet again.
The lucky people of Sweden get to, of Sunderland get to experience this game.
Rugby Park,
Yeah. It was held in Roker Park, and you think those tickets, although there was only sort of 27,000 people there, you'd be well excited for it. Now, imagine the build of that again now, and the montages of what we'd get of what happened 4 years ago, and here we go, they meet again. It's sort of the rematch.
Well, I've got a quote from another newspaper here. I can't remember which one it is, but it says, the manager of Italy and Chile have pledged that there will be no repeat of the Battle of Santiago when their teams meet in the group game at Roker Park today. Italian chief Mr. Edmondo Fabri has a new team with a new spirit, and they will not retaliate even if provoked. And the article is Peace Pledge by Italy and Chile. So there was a lot of talk about it for the game of, will this happen again? And they said it won't happen again. And it didn't. I think it was, physical enough, but not to nowhere near that extent.
Yeah.
Italy get their revenge, winning 2-0. But the most notable game in this group, what is it?
Well, Soviet Union beat North Korea 3-0. You'd expect that. Italy beat Chile 2-0. You'd expect that. As it looks like, the two favourites are going to go through and waltz through possibly the group. Chile and North Korea then take a 1-1 draw. Soviet Union beat Italy 1-0. Fair enough. Two good sides playing each other. And so it takes to the final group game where, again, it's a bit of a winner-takes-all scenario, really, here. The Soviet Union win again, and so they go through with 3 wins on the bounce straight through. So it leaves us with a winner-takes-all match between North Korea and Italy. Now, I mean, anyone watching that in Middlesbrough, in Ayresome Park, is going to be thinking, well, it's an Italy win, surely. North Korea, who are they? What happens?
Well, they're dubbed the mystery men by the Mirror.
Okay.
So there is very little understanding of what this team have, and they actually wear a very similar kit to that Benfica one you're wearing, which is also a very similar kit to Middlesbrough's. So they are instantly favoured by the local fans. Yeah. So it's almost like a home game for them because
and underdog, isn't it?
Yeah. Middlesbrough faithful have really taken them on. North Korea win. They beat Italy 1-0 thanks to Park Do-ik's goal. Absolutely incredible shock. You would never expect that happening. We saw North Korea at the 2010 World Cup getting battered about 7-0 by Portugal. Yeah. But they've won it. I mean, they're helped massively because Italy good enough 10 men in the first half due to injury. So not due to a red card, but someone's injured in those subs. So it is 11 against 10. But they win. It's mad. And I think this at the time was regarded as the greatest shock in World Cup history, as much as England, USA in 1950. Yeah. This is...
It's got to be up there, isn't it? It's got to be up there because what a game of football that is.
Yeah.
Think of all the World Cups we love and enjoy. You want to see a shock. Sometimes you want to see a surprise, and it sticks in the memory. And that does. To see North Korea beat Italy, the 2-time World Cup winners, they're nowhere near as good as they once were and as they eventually will be again. But certainly it's a massive surprise. And to dump them out is a real...
Well, in saying that, they win the Euros in 68. 2 years after. So it's not a bad team. But before the game, the manager says that they have lost faith in their ability and they're frightened by a failure. So there is a bit of England about it. It is a bit of an England about it. Right, shall we go on to some of the notable players?
Yeah.
This is a pretty stacked World Cup. I think he's one of the best so far. Okay, let's start with Brazil. Pelé, Garrincha, Tostão, Gerson, Djalma Santos, a young Jairzinho as well. I don't think all of those necessarily play much, but Pelé, Garrincha start. Good team, but they go out. So let's go past them.
Yeah,
we'll talk about those players more in 1970 because a lot of these players play again.
Yep.
We got Eusebio. He will eventually be the top goal scorer in this World Cup. How many goals?
9 goals. Decent.
Good.
Decent.
I think any more than 8 is very impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Spain got some good players. I mean, we mentioned them, but they go out in the same group as West Germany and Argentina. Luis Suarez, again, Amancio, the Real Madrid player. Paco Gento was also decent. West Germany got a good team.
Oh, it's a lovely side.
Go on, tell us some of those.
Sila, Schnellinger, Haller, Orvath, Meyer, Beckenbauer, who's only 20 years old. We will hear more about him in a future episode for sure.
The kid, yeah.
4 goals as well.
Yeah.
Unbelievably, because he's playing further forward this
He's
time.
a midfielder in this one.
Crazy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
scores 4 times. I think he only scored 14 goals in his entire career for West Germany.
Wow.
4 of them
Came in his debut World Cup.
at his World Cup. And they're really good goals. You watch him on some of the footage, and he's breaking through. I don't know how to describe him really. He's a bit like a leggy centre midfielder who just strides through the other team.
Yeah,
Gets it.
right.
What bit Yaya Toure, a bit Gerrardy, and they go one-on-ones. And he will just finesse it past the keeper. It's really good. So he's playing in midfield.
Which is probably why then when he drops back, he's so comfortable on the ball, isn't he? He's that sweeper role. He's so comfortable. That used to be a midfielder.
Definitely. Sepp Maier isn't there, but I don't think he plays. He's just a young keeper at the time.
Yeah.
So you see him again a lot in 1974. I've put 3 names down here for Hungary. Who have I put down?
Tichy.
Yeah. Good player.
Albert. Good player.
I mentioned them before, haven't we?
And then, unbelievably, what's that name do there? Frank Puskás.
There is Puskás, but it's not Ferenc Puskás. It's someone called Lajos Puskás.
Cheeky.
I no relation, I don't think, but I put him in because I thought it might throw you off.
I mean, Puskás is there shouldn't be more Puskás. It's like there shouldn't be another Pele.
There was a go on.
It happened in Reading, wasn't it? There was a Puskás and a Pele playing for Reading at the same time, which is nuts and shouldn't happen. Shouldn't be allowed.
There was a Pele, wasn't there, for Southampton?
Graziano Pele.
He was a good player. We've got Elias Figueroa for Chile, a very iconic centre-back for them.
Related to Maynor?
I don't think so. We got for Italy, Giacinto Facchetti, Sandro Mazzola. We heard about his father, Valentino, dying in the Superga disaster. He's at this World Cup for Italy, and Gianni Rivera again. So 3 excellent players there, amongst other decent Italian players. Lev Yashin, of course, in goals for the USSR.
The Black Spider.
Probably say, the best goalkeeper of all time, most people believe. And England's squad is absolutely stacked. It is a very impressive team. And you can see why they are favourites. Do you want to say some of the players in their side? I'm testing you here because we haven't got them written. We haven't got them written down.
Well, we can talk about some of them that possibly had become more iconic now, but certainly Jimmy Greaves was one of the talismans of the squad, who then
definitely before
doesn't become so key afterwards. Geoff Hurst is there, who becomes key when he wasn't previously. So they sort of flip their positions around. Roger Hunt, as we've already mentioned, obviously built by the Alf Ramsey side, that he was there. He played in, when did we talk about 53? Wasn't it 53?
Yeah, 63
and he built this whole thing around building this squad. It's a much stronger squad now than England ever imagined before, and it was led by him. And I love him as a leader. Is a massive thing of why, again, another Englishness of it, isn't it? Of the man who rebuilds the side, like happens with Manchester United, I suppose. But it was built in his image, wasn't it? It was everything. He was the first manager of the England side in that way.
First one to pick the team, I think.
Yeah,
really.
which is staggering, really, isn't it? They used to have selectors like cricket and things like that, I suppose. But he was the first manager of the side, and he had honed it in his image what he wanted to see, and he continues to do that in 1970. But there is an impact that is really significant for any English fan. The names that you will see there. And I think, when you talk about them, it was on Pointless once, and people trying to name them. And actually, it was remarkable that not many of them were pointless names because
they are so recognisable.
Yeah.
You got Gordon Banks, of course, in goal, iconic. You got Nobby Stiles.
Nobby Dancing, yeah. Anyone who knows some of the songs will know some of those England players. But, there's one shirt that we've got behind us here that it's not the real one, sadly. But with the number 6 on the back.
Not the official one.
The official one. With number 6 on the back, Bobby Moore.
What a player.
Legend. Another captain, leader, legend type figure.
Yeah.
Bobby Charlton, phenomenal footballer as well. And so, they are really etched into football history names across, not just England, but across world football names.
Okay, and finally I put some notable players because we have quite a few famous dads in this.
I like this. This is great.
Jean Djorkaeff, who's Yuri Djorkaeff's father. Pablo Forlan, Diego Forlan's father. Miguel Reina, Pepe Reina's father, all play at this World Cup for France, Uruguay and Spain respectively. And also got Jorge Solari, who played for Argentina, because Fernando Redondo is his son-in-law.
Well,
so there you go. Little family connections. Right, let's get on to the knockouts, when the action starts to get really good. So we've got West Germany smashing Uruguay 4-0. in our game. So they've really come into the tournament. They are there.
Yeah.
They are the machine. Was it the Mannschaft, is it?
Yeah.
They are there to win. They smashed them. Uruguay, though, do get 2 red cards in this game.
Which again, aren't
With
red
9
cards yet. We're still in the point of please can you leave the pitch. But,
Yeah, sorry, 2 send-ins off, yeah.
Yeah.
So they make it easier for West Germany, who can beat 9 men relatively comfortably. USSR against Hungary, quite a political clash there. We've mentioned that quite a few times in these
Yeah.
World Cup podcasts, those 2 nations together. Of course, Hungary being a bit of a puppet state for the Soviet Union. But Soviet Union do win 2-1. They beat Hungary. Hungary do so well in World Cups, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Finals again.
Yeah.
2 notable games here. So we got England against Argentina first. Why is this infamous?
Well, I think it's really the beginning of the rivalry, isn't it? We're not at the point of the height of the rivalry. Obviously, in the 80s, not just for football reasons, but political reasons too.
Yeah.
But certainly it's the beginning of a rivalry because the Argentinian captain was sent off for dissent, which again is pretty rare back then.
And do you know why it's a funny one?
Go on.
Because I don't think he speaks the same language as the referee.
Interesting, isn't it? Yes.
And I think the official thing was you sent off for violence of the tongue.
Nice. That is a lovely terminology.
Violence of the tongue is a very, very poetic way of explaining it then.
Isn't it?
He still denied to this day. There's a video on YouTube all about this.
Yeah.
In which Antonio Ratan is adamant that it's a bit of a fix. Referees favouring the home team, which probably did happen a little bit.
Happened.
It's happened in most World Cups. Definitely will happen in Argentina's World Cup in '78, which is probably the most notorious of all for match fixing and dodginess. But yeah, he's unhappy. He gets sent off. As he's walking off the pitch, he grabs the corner flag with the England badge on it and gives a tiny little shake.
Yeah.
But incenses the home fans who he says start throwing beer at him. I don't think on the footage you don't see any beer being thrown, but maybe that has happened. But yeah, Ramsey then isn't happy and he tells him not to swap shirts,
which is significant again because it's very much like jolly good game after it, and that doesn't happen here, does it?
No, no, it's not good old English play as they say. The most notable game though, I would say, is the North Korea Portugal game.
Yeah. So North Korea, as you said, normally you get it. A side will sneak through. You think there's no way you're going to have any sort of hope of actually beating a side like Portugal who've flown through the groups. But they go 3-0 up, which is absolute insanity. And they end up losing 5-3. What an absolute great game that is. I'm like, I can't fathom it.
That must be mad.
Witnessing that. Portugal 3-0 down. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Portugal have been a really good side. North Korea, who are they? And then they end up losing anyway. It's brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah, 3-0 up, I think in the first 20 odd minutes as well. That must have had, oh my gosh, North Korea going to the semi-finals of the World Cup. But Eusebio scores 4, doesn't he? He turns it on.
Yeah, he does. I mean, 2 of them pens, but yeah, he does. He scores 4 of the 5. It's at Goodison Park, which have had quite a few of the good games. There's some of the Brazilian games too, so they've had some crack.
He loves to pen, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He scores another one in the semi-final against England as well.
Yeah.
Well, they say Penaldo, don't they? And Pessi these days. Was he?
Pen... It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. Eusebio, you can just have him. Right, should we go to semi-finals then?
Yeah, so we get West Germany versus the Soviet Union, which is a wonderful political tie, isn't it? That is a class.
That is Cold War on the pitch.
Yeah.
East versus West.
Yeah.
2-1 West Germany, though. Haller and Beckenbauer again.
Yeah. And so West Germany into the final. They are winners in 54. They make it back to the final in 66. And that is interesting, isn't it, given it's been hosted in England, West Germany, whilst they're what people would say, the good Germany, they are, there's going to be feeling. Of course there's going to be feeling.
A Cold War bias, yeah.
A Cold War bias, but there's going to be also not long ago we were fighting Germany.
20 years ago, really, 21 years ago,
people in that crowd in the final will have fought in the war, for sure. And so that's really going to West Germany get there. And then England at Wembley, they play Portugal, as we said, and they win 2-1. And it's Bobby Charlton's brace to take them there.
Yeah, to good brace as well.
Yeah, either half, one in either half. Eusebio gets a pen, but it's only a consolation pen. He's had a cracking tournament, as we said, Golden Boot, one of the players of the tournament. But it's England versus Germany in the World Cup final. Oh,
huge. Okay, let's look before the final then at the controversy in this tournament. We've mentioned, of course, the African boycott. You can't escape that. That is huge. I mean, post-colonial world, still though, those colonial feelings, undertones are still there.
Yeah, of course.
Not good. Not a good look at all before that tournament. Pickles, we're losing the World Cup's got to be controversial.
Yeah.
If they're glad they found it. If they'd lost that would have been one of the biggest stories ever, wouldn't it? There was alleged German doping yet again. So I think a running theme throughout 20th century, really, not just with West Germany, but East Germany as well, is a lot of doping to try and get, one over each other and one over the East or West. So possibly German doping yet again, which maybe explains why they were so good. Feisty football yet again. Heavy challenges, again, leading to red and yellow cards being introduced by the next World Cup in 1970. It's the last World Cup without substitutions because it is controversial. I mean, you think of Italy, you losing to North Korea, but you've gone down to 10 men, not because you've been playing in a dirty way, but you've got someone injured and you can't replace him. That's not good, is it? Interestingly, in terms of the feisty challenges, this World Cup in South America is regarded as like the worst ever. So we see 62 as the low point in terms of negativity, brutal challenges, injuries, and so on. South America see this one as the worst one, explained by the Antonio Ratan red card. They don't think it was fair. Pele, of course. Yeah, the 2 red cards for Uruguay against West Germany. Yeah. They think there's quite a lot of heavy bias towards the European sides. So South America don't like this World Cup.
Interesting.
For quite a few reasons.
Yeah.
Let's get on then to the final, one of the most iconic games of all time. Obviously in UK history, but probably in football history.
Certainly World Cup history. It's a good game. England playing in their red kit, not in their white.
Yeah.
Very generous of them, being able to play in their red. And there's names here. Let me read out the T-sheet for England because they're names that everyone will know. Gordon Banks, George Cohen, Jack Charlton, Bobby Moore, Ray Wilson, Nobby Stiles, Alan Ball, Bobby Charlton, Martin Peters, Jeff Hurst, and Roger Hunt. It is a quality lineup.
It's such a good team.
It's very West Ham heavy as well, isn't it, at the time?
West Ham's spine, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they're key players. So, I mean, they could do with some of them players nowadays,
They could.
Yeah.
Alf Ramsey, of course, his formations, it was like a 4-1-3-2, is the wingless wonders is what it's known, isn't it? It's very narrow formation, but I think the front sort of 5 kind of interchanged positions quite a lot. Bobby Charlton usually very quite far forward, didn't he? But he's kind of in midfield, but he is allowed to roam. Hunt and Hurst up top, but there's no obvious wingers or outside right to left as they'd say back then. England don't take the lead though, do they?
No, they don't. So, big final, 96,000 people at Wembley, and just after 12 minutes, West Germany go 1-0 up, which is disaster.
Helmut Haller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not long. Jeff Hurst equalises in the 18th minute. Hurst has said who's playing instead of Jimmy Greaves, because the images of Jimmy Greaves in this, when you watch the video, he's
not happy,
heartbroken.
Yeah.
Because like we said, no subs. He knows he's not going to play in the World Cup final. He is the man before the tournament, really. Certainly one of the men, and he's not present, which is gutting for him.
He's just sat in the stands, isn't he? And he's got a real look of thunder on his face.
Yeah. And so it's a tight game then, and it's brilliant to watch the video of it. And again, if you haven't had the chance to watch the polarized footage, worth doing. Lots of GB flags in there as well, the Union flags, rather than
there's no real St. George crosses, is there? It is British flags.
Yeah, and it's very much a British. We are proud Welshmen, as we said. My dad is massively. Anyone but England has a very Welsh attitude at times, but he said he remembers supporting England in this because it was we could do this. We, Britain, can do this.
Nation building.
It is nation building. And so, throughout the rest of the game, really, it's a competitive game, but it's pretty quiet until Martin Peters pops up in the 78th minute and England take a lead. And at 2-1 in the last 10 minutes, you're thinking, oh my gosh, we've done this. We've done it on home soil.
Hold on.
But we know it doesn't finish 2-1 because 89th minute, German equaliser.
The Volkan Weber, is it?
Yeah. German equaliser. And we're into extra time.
Extra time in the World Cup final. Exciting.
Yeah.
And this is where we mentioned controversy, but this is the real controversy, isn't it?
It's nuts. It is nuts.
So, 101 minutes. What happens?
Jeff Hurst.
Yeah.
It's the Jeff Hurst having a lovely game. Takes the ball. Has a shot. What happens?
Hits the bar. Bounces on the line and out. Cleared away. And the goal's given.
People celebrate. You would expect that. It bounced off the bar and down, and lots of people will, immediately in the stadium think that's in. Some people immediately think, I don't think that did cross the line.
I mean, you definitely cheer for it if you
Of course you would. It's that sort of thing you cheer for it. If you watch the footage, some cheer, some don't. Fans, obviously, as happens with when all the players go, the crowd goes too. If you're watching it at home, thinking about the quality of the footage, you're going to have no way of knowing if that ball crossed the line or not.
I mean, it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't. For a long while, people say it does. There is this blame allayed to the linesman, isn't there? Who is he Soviet? Is that
so? He's known as the Russian linesman. He's actually from Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Tofik Baramov. He is the linesman who gives the goal. The ref's not too sure, and he's adamant. Yeah, goal. Maybe he's persuaded by the fans all around him. Do you want to hear an interesting fact about him?
Go on.
The Azerbaijani National Stadium, before the modern new one, is named after him.
Why?
I don't know.
Famous
ref.
Biggest moment in their history.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, that's the referee. But yeah, it's given it. I mean, you do watch the footage back, and it does generally look like it bounces on the line. Doesn't it?
It's the whole ball, whole line. It didn't. However, we're talking at the time they obviously didn't have goal line technology. The camera technology is not there. There's no VAR. There's nothing like that. And sometimes in a stadium, vibes alone is all you can go with. Think about the VAR controversy recently. Lots of people want to go back to just vibes, no VAR. And so we get decisions like this given. And so, for me, I don't think it did cross the line. There's been whole stories you can read of new Hawkeye technology tells us it didn't cross the line. Ultimately, it was given. Yeah. That's the way it goes. I don't think it was controversially given. I think it was they genuinely didn't know.
Yeah.
It looked like it crossed the line. Goal was given. Thankfully, obviously, though, goals change games, but thankfully, that's not the final goal. Because imagine that was the winner.
No.
3-2. And in the 120th minute, we get this phenomenal, iconic little bit of commentary.
As people on the pitch, I think it's all over. It is now. Geoff Hurst rifling it in. I mean, what a finish. Last minute, you're running down the other end of the pitch.
Gasping.
You got to try and see the game out. Takes to the corner flag, hold it up.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I'm going to absolutely lever this into the top corner. He barely even celebrates. He just goes,
yeah.
He's out of breath. Brilliant goal. We won the World Cup. It is such a good moment. Iconic. Some people try to say goal shouldn't count because people on the pitch, but,
Iconic scenes of celebration. Again, worth a watch. The Queen giving the World Cup over to Bobby Moore.
Yeah.
Being lifted up. All that stuff is quality, historic scenes. But England have done it. They've won it on home soil. And what a moment.
I think that image of Bobby Moore lifting the World Cup is one of the most, the oldest images I can think of seeing growing up. It's such an iconic image.
And it's a great image, isn't it? The way, it's just like it. I think it was probably our background for a while on Facebook and things like that. Again, as proud Welshmen, but even so, it was such an iconic World Cup image.
What was our background on Facebook?
Our cover photo, possibly?
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, not anymore. The publisher for our second book, they said to put that as our inside cover, and we said no.
Yeah.
We sort of did Hal Robson Cardio against Belgium. Okay, right. Shall we go on to the legacy? England won the World Cup. The legacy in England, the UK, it is massive. I said in brackets, as much as we don't want it to be necessarily if we're Welsh, Scottish,
we're sick of it now.
Irish,
flipping it, but we can understand it. Yeah.
It is huge, and it leads to so much nostalgia from it. Do you know one of the ways that I measure time is the song Three Lions.
Yeah.
So 3 Lions, 30 years of hurt, isn't it?
96 they released it.
It's now 60 years of hurt. So think about this. The song 3 Lions is as close when it was released to the 1966 World Cup as it is to today.
That's nuts, isn't it?
That is mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's 60 years of hurt now, unless you're a Lionesses fan, because they win everything.
Yeah. And let's hope it's 64 years of hurt after it as well.
Fingers crossed. I'm sure when Harry Wilson rocks up in USA, Mexico, and Canada, we'll be celebrating. I'm sure of it. Right. So yeah, 3 Lions. Of course, that song alludes to it. So much does. It showed the UK in a new light, though, didn't it, to the world? Britain was now the centre of world pop culture, music, fashion. England are forced to be reckoned with football. You mentioned earlier, later on, United will win the European Cup in 1968.
Yeah.
In the 70s then, the late 70s then, will be dominated by English clubs. But England's a force to be reckoned with. It's had its time where it's lost its footballing prowess in the 1950s. It's back. It's back. And notably, it's Alf Ramsey, who was in that 6-3 defeat to Hungary, who was led England to the win, as we've already alluded to before. The win is ultimately a win for system-based football rather than individual sort of talents, kind of how it was before.
Which is why we said with Ramsey, isn't he? He built that side in his image, and it's very much they slotted in, and the players did. The fact that he could drop Greaves and people like that and change the side around, but it worked for him. The style worked for him and for England. And it's a time of, Italian boring football as well, like we said, but style football.
Yeah.
All of it is about that sort of the way you play rather than the players you've got, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Italian system is still a system-based football, isn't it? Catenaccio.
Yeah.
Shankly for Liverpool as well, Jock Bean for Celtic. They're all using this kind of new brand of playing. The manager has become a thing now.
Yeah.
Not just someone who's kind of there, sorting out the finances. He is deciding the tactics. South America, I mentioned before then, sees this World Cup as the low point of football history, like Europe sees 62. 32.3 million people watch this in the UK.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's still, to this day, the most watched event ever on British television.
Yeah.
More than Princess Diana's funeral, moon landings, everything is the 66 World Cup final. And it's the first time we can see football in colour.
Yeah. And I'm glad for it. I'm glad for it. Glorious Technicolor, for sure.
Right.
Let's do our ratings.
This has been a massive podcast. Let's go on to our ratings then. A few technical glitches, but not as many as last time. Right. How do you rate the hosts?
Oh, so it's tricky, isn't it, here now, not to be a little bit biased about it and say, we do a great job at hosting it as a nation. But I think iconic stadiums, iconic attendances, I love it.
Lost the World Cup.
Lost the World Cup.
Yeah.
That is a bit of that. Give it 8.5. 8.5. Wembley.
8.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, good. Rate the players.
Some good names.
Very good names.
Gets better, but at this point, possibly the strongest set of squads. We said 54 was a good set of squads. 58 was decent.
Yeah.
Let's give it I think it's another 7.5. 7.5.
Okay. I might do 8 for this one, but 7.5 is fine. The matches.
Ooh, a couple of iconic ones. Final, that's really simple.
Iconic shocks, North Korea.
Yeah, exactly.
Really good final, yeah.
Brazil, it's a solid one, isn't it? It's going to be up there as a 7.5 again.
We didn't mention this is the first hat-trick in a World Cup final as well.
Yeah.
Only, I think,
Mbappe
and Carly Lloyd in the women's. Yeah, so I agree. 7.5, not bad. Okay, what about the controversy?
Not so much, isn't it? Pickles the dog is a
African boycott.
Joyful controversy. The African boycott is the biggest factor, isn't it? And the South Africa effect.
But the feistiness, if you ask South American, they'll put this high.
Yeah, they're just moving.
6?
It's a 6. He's lower than a lot of the others that we'll come to, certainly, and that we've talked about previously. Legacy now, it is iconic, and this is where we can fall into a little bit of bias. But I think it does have a stitched-in legacy to football history. So I think it's possibly...
Well, I think of things like TV. We do see it in colour, though.
Yeah, and that leaves lasting images in it. And, there is legacy for a lot of nations there. I think it's high. I think it's probably another 8. Yeah, 8.
I agree. Overall rating? 8?
8 then.
An 8 out of 10. Yeah. Not bad. Is this the best so far or
best
54?
So far.
54. I think 54 is still higher than this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is a clear second.
The second. Clear second. Right. Thank you so much for listening to this
epic
Football History Boys podcast looking at the 1966 World Cup. I mean, this has only got 16 teams. We've got World Cups with 32 and future 48. So
we're going to
have to speed these up. But hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe on YouTube. Please comment on Spotify as well. Follow us on there as well. It really helps us. If you can, please rate the podcast 5 stars. It would be brilliant. It really helps us to push it out to more people. We would love for you just to share this with your friends. The World Cup, it'll be here before you know it.
Your parents and your grandparents probably more interested.
Maybe this one, yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening. And is that everything?
For me, it is, yeah.
We'll see you again for another one very soon.